What if I told you that the future of food is already here, but it looks almost nothing like what's on your plate right now? Seriously, science is completely rewriting the menu from the ground up, literally. So let's dive in and see how science is changing what we eat.
Just look at this. At first glance, you might think it's some rare exotic fruit, but this is a purple tomato. And it's a perfect snapshot of the future. It was genetically designed to be full of extra nutrients, the same kind of good stuff you find in blueberries. And seeing this, well, it brings up a really big question.
And that's really the core question we're exploring today. What if our food wasn't just something we found growing in the wild, but something we could actually design from scratch? Make it more nutritious, stronger against disease, and way more efficient to grow.
And we're asking this question because, well, we have to. The world's population is heading towards 10 billion people by 2050. But the amount of farmland and fresh water we have, that's not growing. We are pushing traditional farming to its absolute breaking point. So we need new ideas and fast.
So where do we even begin? Well, the first big idea is to totally rethink the farm itself. Instead of spreading out over miles and miles of land, what if we could build up? We're talking about a huge shift in where we grow our food. It's a revolution in location, farming up, not out.
And this right here says it all. On the left, you've got the image we all know, the big tractor on a huge flat field. And on the right, that's the future, a sleek, indoor farm that spirals up to the ceiling, trading soil for pure technology. It's a massive difference.
The name for this new method is hydroponics, and the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. You just get rid of the soil and replace it with water that's been mixed with all the exact nutrients a plant needs to grow. Throw in some special lights, and boom, you've got a farm that can pop up just about anywhere.
Okay, now here's a number that'll make you pause. 90%. That's how much less water these hydroponic farms can use compared to regular farms. 90%. In a world where water is getting more and more precious, that's not just an improvement, that is a total game changer.
And the benefits just keep coming. You can build these farms in the middle of a city, in a freezing cold climate, even in a desert. They run 24/7 all year long, churning out fresh lettuce and tomatoes. There are even these cool systems called aquaponics, which are like tiny ecosystems where fish waste gets turned into the perfect plant food. How smart is that?
All right, so it's clear we can change where we farm. That's a huge step forward. But it begs the next question. What about how we farm? What about all the work that goes into it?
This brings us to the new farmhands. And yeah, they're probably not what you're picturing. We're talking about robots in the fields. And these aren't just clunky machines. They're incredibly sophisticated.
I mean, check this out. This is an autonomous robot arm, and it's using AI to spot and gently pick perfectly ripe strawberries. It knows exactly which ones are ready and which ones need more time, and it does it all without squishing the fruit. It's pure precision, done by a machine.
So how does a robot learn to do that? It's basically a simple three-step loop. First, its camera sees the strawberry. Then, its AI brain analyzes everything about that image, the color, the shape, the size, to check for ripeness. And finally, it makes a decision. Is it ready to pick? If the answer is yes, it acts. It just keeps doing that, getting smarter and faster all the time.
And all that learning leads to some pretty mind-blowing results. Just one of these robot pickers can harvest up to 794 pounds. That's 360 kilograms of strawberries in a single day.
Now, these high-tech tools are amazing, but they're still only part of the solution. Because it doesn't matter if you have a robot or a person doing the harvesting if you haven't gotten the fundamentals right. You still have to nail the most basic part of the equation, the medium the plants actually grow in.
So that brings us right back down to Earth. But now, we're looking at it through a microscope. We're talking about the chemistry of the land and this scientific mission to create the absolute perfect soil.
One of the most important ideas here is something called pH. It's just a scale that measures if something is acidic or alkaline. For plants, the pH of the soil is everything. It's the key that unlocks their ability to soak up all the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy.
And nature actually gives us this beautiful, living example of pH at work. A hydrangea plant is basically a natural pH test strip. If you plant it in acidic soil, the flowers turn blue. But in alkaline soil, they turn pink. It's that simple. Farmers use this exact same principle, just on a much bigger scale, to make sure their soil is perfectly balanced for their crops.
Okay, let's take a breath. So we've seen how science is improving where we grow our food, how we harvest it, and even the chemistry of the soil. But that leaves one last massive frontier. What if we could improve the food itself, right down to its very core?
And this leads us to our final big idea, and it's probably the most revolutionary one of all: hacking our food. Believe it or not, this isn't a totally new concept. We're going to see how it stretches from ancient traditions all the way to the most advanced science today. First, let's talk about the ancient science. For thousands of years, we're talking 7,500 years at least, humans have been partners with tiny little microbes. We've worked with them to make things like cheese, bread, and yogurt through a process called fermentation. It's basically using bacteria and fungi to transform food. It was the original food science.
That ancient partnership has been amazing. But today, we're moving on to a much more modern one, a much more precise one that gets right to the heart of what makes something alive.
And that modern partnership is with DNA, the blueprint of life. It works like this. The DNA has the instructions, which we call genes. Those genes tell the plant cells what proteins to make. And those proteins, well, they determine everything, from the color of a tomato to the size of a corn cob. So if you can change the instructions, you can change the result.
So what does that actually look like in the real world? This is a rainbow papaya. Back in the 90s, a nasty virus was about to completely destroy Hawaii's papaya industry. So scientists went in and created this genetically modified version that was resistant to that virus. It didn't just help, it saved the entire crop and the thousands of people who depended on it.
So, there you have it. From farms that touch the sky, to robots that can pick a perfect strawberry, from fine-tuning the chemistry of the soil to literally rewriting the DNA inside a seed, the science of food is moving at an incredible pace, which leaves all of us with a pretty big question to think about. As science completely rewrites the menu, what are we going to choose to eat?